Hey everybody, thanks for tumbling in. Today is gonna be a little bit longer, so if you want to grab a cup of coffee or a tea or whatever your your drink of choice is, we're gonna be here for a minute. We're gonna be going over the variety of seeds that we're growing, some starters that we have going in. I'm gonna show you how we turn over some of our summer beds to get ready for fall and how we amend the soil. I'm also gonna get a little bit into frost date and how to determine your frost date for where you are, to give you the best opportunity for success in your fall garden. But also don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. We love to hear from you guys and love to stay in touch. With all that being said, let's dig into the fall garden. So 2 things that are going to be super important for you to figure out as you're going into your fall season. The first one is your first frost date, and the second is your zone, your growing zone. The frost date is going to be important for you to be able to schedule back to know when you need to have things in the ground and establishing themselves before you go into fall so that they can withstand that first frost. Another thing that's going to be really helpful for you when you're determining your varieties and things that do well in your area is finding out your growing zone. Here in northern Tennessee, we're kind of on the line between 7A and 7B. The zones range from low numbers up north and higher numbers down south. So we're kind of in, the warmer south, but we are leaning a little bit towards the earlier frost date just to give ourselves the cushion. But knowing your zone gives you a lot of good resources for growing information and knowing what does well right around you. If you are looking to figure out your first frost date, the easiest way is to just put it in your search engine and it will come up immediately. Another really great resource that I personally love to use is the Old Farmer's Almanac. They do have a paper copy that you can buy in stores, but all of their information is also available online. You just put in your zip code and actually a lot more really cool growing information and tips come up along with that. So I found that to be a really cool resource. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and dig into some seeds. First one that we haven't done before, but I'm really excited about just because the girls have loved harvesting sugar peas out of the garden. We are going with the green arrow shelling pea. This is an English pea, and we will be harvesting these for the peas inside. So we will have to do all of the shelling and everything, but I think it'll be a really great process for the girls. They do great in cool weather, so that's what we're heading into right now, so they should do really well. This is an heirloom variety, and it is a dwarf variety, so it's not going to get super, super tall. It's going to get, it says on the package, it's going to get about 30 inches tall. So not crazy tall, but I am going to go ahead and put them on my trellis just so that they have a little bit of support, because they can be a little bit of a flimsy plant. So I'm excited about those. Next, we have the Provider bush bean. This one, I didn't mention it before, but this one is also from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. And I love the packaging on all of these. They're just really beautiful. But these are just a really reliable green bean. They are a bush bean, which is different from a pole bean, which is a trellising variety. These are going to be great because they produce larger amounts at one time. It's going to have 1 to 2 larger productions for harvest. That's going to be really great for freezing and canning and that sort of thing. Right now we are succession planting that about every 2 to 3 weeks. So that one's exciting. While we are doing the bush beans, I do also have pole beans going on 2 of our trellises. Those we really enjoy eating fresh, and they also store in the freezer really well. The ones I have right now are from Johnny's Seeds. This one is the Monagusto, and these are the Seychelles. I'm so French. The Seychelles are actually a green bean. I would say they are probably a little bit more of a producer than this Monagusto, but they both taste really nice. And we're gonna finish out these packets, and we really like those. So highly recommend those. And finishing out the legumes category, we have our sugar peas. These are Sugar Ann from Johnny's. I got these last year, and we're still working our way through them. And then we also have Honey Snap 2. This is another one that's, both of these are going to do really well in the cool weather. They both recommend on the back, they have lots of instructions on the back of Johnny's packets, but this one does recommend that you get them into the ground 2 months before your first frost. I do have some going already. I started them maybe a couple weeks ago, so it might be right at that 2 months mark. Either way, we're going to do our best and see what we get. Okay, so moving on to some root vegetables. I think this is a place that I have kind of struggled so far in our gardening journey. I haven't gotten great carrots. I think it has to do with a lot of our germination, so we're going to try a different technique with that this year. But I'm really excited to try this new variety. It's called the new Kuroda carrot. And this is from Baker Creek Rare Seeds. I actually got this packet when we were at the homesteading festival this past summer, so I've been waiting for the fall to try these out because I knew they were going to do a lot better. So we're going to get these going. We also have a Napoli hybrid carrot. That one is from Johnny's Seeds. So I have a couple places out in the garden that I'm going to try these. I am going to try Jess Soward's technique of using a untreated board. We are going to link that video so you guys can find it. Hopefully I get a few more results than we've gotten the last couple years. Next, we have a really beautiful yellow of Parma onion. This one is also from Baker Creek. And they've done well. I started these in trays. They've actually taken off pretty well, so I have some to start, and I'm also going to direct sow some. It says they are a rare Italian variety. I like the varieties that, you know, you're not going to find anywhere else. And Baker Creek is going to give you those varieties. So I'm excited to have a couple kind of weird things in the garden, but this is a really great storage onion, which is really important to us too. All right, and then 2 other new things for us this fall. We have albino beets, also from Baker Creek, but these are supposedly the sweetest, one of the sweetest beets that you can grow. They can be used for making sugar, which I'm excited to try, but really I'm just excited to see what we think about them. So I just planted those out the other day. We should be seeing some sprouts in the next 14 to 21 days. There you go. It's all in the packet. I've also done some radishes. These are the Easter basket mix, and if you look on the website, these are actually about 15 different heirloom varieties of radishes. So we're gonna get to try a lot of different ones. I can't say that radish is anything we currently eat a lot of, but going into the fall, knowing that root vegetables are something that does really well because so many of their flavors are concentrated into their root, and I'm excited to see what we think. Okay, so now going into leafy greens. We're trying a lot of different varieties here, but I've also got a few things that I have done before. Let's start out with this one. We have Johnny's hybrid. This is a hybrid red cabbage. When I do my seed selections, I do look at the specific characteristics of the varieties. I want things that have some disease resistance, that they're not going to be the first thing to get attacked by pests or to go bad. This was a type of cabbage that I felt comfortable trying because it is so resistant to the heavy freezes. Even if you don't get them covered right before the freeze, there's something that can last through those really cold temperatures. And I felt comfortable giving that a go as we go into our first winter with a pretty substantial garden. I've also got lizard spinach going. This is our saved packet. This is from earlier this spring, and that will give us a whole other go of lizard spinach. It's really heat resistant, which is not going to be super helpful now that it's cooling down, but it actually does really well throughout the winter. We did this one over last winter. I remember it got fully snowed on, fully iced on, and it still came back, and it was still producing, honestly, until the spring. Lasted for a really long time. Anyways, that's a good one. Next one, we have the Dagon hybrid Brussels sprout. This one is also from Johnny's, and I have never done Brussels sprouts, but this is something I'm gonna give a go as direct seeding outside. Another returning variety that I've really grown a fondness for is this pak choy. This one is also from Johnny's. We've done a few of these, but my favorite way to eat these is off of the grill with a little glaze on them. They're really great as a side, but the cabbage caterpillars really love these. So I end up battling for just a few of these every spring. We'll see how they do in the fall. Maybe I won't have to battle quite as much. Another thing that I've really struggled to grow is lettuce. So I have a bib lettuce from Johnny's, and I would really love to have this variety, but I've really struggled to grow it. I don't know if I've planted it at the wrong times, but it's something that I'm continuing to try. Maybe this fall is the time. And then I also have a more heirloom variety. This one is called Yedikule, and it is a rare variety from Istanbul, actually. It's a very cool variety. Doing some research on it, I'm actually very excited to try it. It's supposed to be oily and full of flavor. It's kind of a symbol of the gardens of Istanbul, which is pretty cool. The next green that I'm excited to try is this green glaze collards. No, here. And this variety is from the Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. And this is something else that I haven't grown, but it is beautiful from what I've seen, and I'm excited to incorporate it into our diet. And my mother-in-law loves it, so I'm excited to share with her too. So next thing is the garlic. Put that in its own category because it deserves it. And I will be replanting some of the garlic that we grew from this past summer. We harvested all of our garlic in June, and that was a German red variety. It's known for its really robust garlic flavor, and we've loved it. We have it roasted in a ton of stuff like green beans and with potatoes, and it is really good. So we're going to be replanting with some of the heads that we did harvest. And then we also have half pound of another hardneck variety coming in, as well as a soft neck variety. Those haven't been able to be shipped in yet because it is the season that that's coming in, but we'll be making room for garlic as soon as we're transferring out some of the other things that won't make it the next couple weeks. But garlic will be in the garden for a long time, so when I put it into a bed, I want to know that it's in a good spot, that it's not going to get in my way for things in the spring and the summer. I'm going to make sure I have everything out of the way that I want out of the way before I get these in the ground. We also, just because of my lack of being able to start some things in trays, we did struggle a little bit. I don't know if bugs were the issue, humidity or heat was the issue, but some things I was not able to get going. Cabbage didn't take well to the trays, the Brussels, and we didn't start any broccoli, and Rocky wanted broccoli. So we were at Rural King the other day and grabbed some starters for all of those. There's a hybrid white cabbage that we have going in. We have a green magic broccoli, and I don't think the variety is on there, but just a hybrid Brussels sprouts that we added as starters, which gives us a little bit of a head start going into the frost. So another thing that does really well in our fall climate, and actually going into a little bit of the frosty temperatures of winter, are red potatoes. And these aren't any seeded potatoes that I actually got. These are just grocery store potatoes that have sprouted all on their own. They've just sat under in the dark of my pantry, and they have grown their own little sprouts. Those are already in the garden. These are not quite as developed as the ones that I put out there, but they're another variety that should do really well. With our kind of more mild winter, we do get some frost, obviously, but it's gonna do well in keeping in our climate, and we'll see. They were kind of a last minute addition to the garden, so it'll be a surprise if we get a lot of harvest from that. The last thing we're growing are these beautiful acorn table squash. This is a quick grow winter squash variety. It only takes 80 days to come to maturity, so we planted these the end of July. I believe. I think I had just about 80 days left until our first frost date. So those are going out in the garden. We're seeing some fruits on those. We are still battling the squash bugs a little bit. I will keep you posted on those. I might show you how I maintenance that a little bit. My husband is usually the one that I send out there to fight the squash bugs. But if there's anything that we do with that, we'll keep you posted and keep you updated. But so far, they're doing okay. And I have a lot of ideas of how I want to use the acorn squash, a lot of ideas for roasting and soups, but they're also really great for storage. So excited for those as well. All right, so let's talk about some of the things we already have going out there. I've mentioned a little bit, but I would say the biggest thing we have going right now is this acorn squash. This will be ready before the frost. It's not gonna last after any kind of frost. So hopefully we're trying to get the most result out of this before our estimated freeze date is October 23rd. So that's 6 weeks from now. We'll see what we can get out of that. The other thing that we have going, I'm already harvesting some provider beans. I am harvesting them as soon as they get large enough to eat, just because it encourages the plant to produce even more. I will expect to only harvest 1 to 2 good size amounts off of each plant during this season. These might last a little bit after a frost. They're not gonna do well with a long extended period of time in a cold. So that we're also expecting to get before the frost. I have pole beans going already. Those we have kind of had going all summer. I do have these going where we had the tromboncinos, and those are just starting to pop up. So we're only probably gonna get a few out of these, but they're kind of quick. So I love planting beans because they're so easy to plant. They're easy for kids to plant. They're a great activity to have the kids out in the garden, and they're really fun to watch grow because they're so quick. I also have the radish and the beets already started. These are both things that will do really well through the cold weather. They will take a freeze because it's storing all of its energy in the root. The tops can be completely frozen and those will still come back. So they're gonna do really well here in our climate. And I'm also gonna be doing these in succession plantings to get a consistent harvest. The starters that we picked up from Rural King, that would be the cabbage, the Brussels, and the broccoli. Those are also gonna do really well through our cold weather that we have. If we do experience anything too heavy of a frost, a really like heavy ice, or we're expecting a random really heavy snow, we can go out there with a frost cloth or even a bed sheet or something like that to protect the outside of the plant if it's absolutely necessary. But a lot of these things we're growing specifically because they can withstand those kind of temperatures. This lettuce, this will withstand a lot of freeze. This lizard spinach for sure will withstand a lot of freeze. A lot of my decision making during this process had to do with knowing that I'm not going to have to go out there and do the extra work to keep everything safe if I don't have to. So that really wraps up what we have going on in the fall garden. I really encourage you guys to give it a try. This fall is really a trial for us, a test for us to figure out what does well in our area, what does well in our garden, and what we like. I think a huge part of starting a garden is trying things, but also determining what your family is going to eat, what you're going to use. And this fall is really that for us. We're doing a trial run and we're figuring out what we like and what we're going to continue to grow here on the homestead. Thanks for tumbling in. If you do want to see our summer garden, we have a video of that, and that gives you a rundown of everything we had going on outside this summer. But until next time, go ahead and hit that bell notification to know when we post our next video, and we'll see you next time. Bye.